What's going on, everybody? It's Ricky with Video Homicide, and today I have a very special video where we're going to take a look at the top 15 movies I would love to own on VHS. Now, and when I say own on VHS, I mean like an actual store-bought copy, not just like a taped copy, because anyone can go on YouTube, find a flick, download it, and then fucking transfer it onto a VHS tape. This is not rocket science, but I'd love to own certain movies on tape. And even though in one of my previous videos I said I'd way rather watch it on DVD or Blu-ray or a streaming service, but that doesn't go to say I don't like collecting the tapes, because I look at them the same way someone might look at comic books or even baseball cards, that type of stuff. But I love old tapes, the cover arts, all that stuff. They really can't be beat. So, and I got to quickly point out that none of these movies I'm going to be talking about, I don't want to own, any certain editions. Just to have them, store-bought copies. Doesn't matter what as long as they play and the cover art, the cover is not like pissed on or torn to shreds. So we're gonna go through this list. So one of my favorite films of 1980, or of the 80s, or in general, is Cannibal Holocaust, directed by Ruggiero Deodato, 1980. Great cannibal film, one of the best, one of the pioneers of the found footage genre, which is a genre that I've never really been too hot on, but I do love my Blair Witch Project and, of course, Cannibal Holocaust. And there's a few other movies I've seen that were pretty fucking good. But I just think this movie's one of those ones where you either love it or you hate it, or you've heard of it and you just haven't watched it, or you won't watch it because, and I've had conversations with people recently about this movie, like when they were killing these animals, because that's one of the biggest concerns in the movie. These animals were not killed for the sake of being on film to see them get killed. They were murdered, or not murdered. They were taken out, if you want to use a mafia term. They were bumped off, and they were eaten. Look at the fucking Apocalypse Now film, which is one of the most classic films of the 70s of all time. And there's an insane scene where this water buffalo is just cut to shreds with machetes and stuff, but then there's a celebration. It's eaten. It's no different from going up northern Canada, killing a moose and then cutting it all up and then eating it. That's what happens. That's how people survive. That's sustenance type of thing. So I'm one of the people that think Cannibal Holocaust is the best. There's a really good release put out by Grindhouse, which I don't know exactly where it is at this total moment, but it's a really good addition, really good transfer. So the first film I would love to own on VHS is definitely Cannibal Holocaust. Moving along, number 2, we got a film, I believe directed by William Lustig, I believe 1981, I want to say, of course starring the great, I'm fucking forgetting his goddamn name, I feel like a prick, Maniac. Okay, who do I associate with Maniac? Dude, I feel like a novice right now. Joe Spinell. So, starring, of course, Joe Spinell, who was in a few other films, great films of the 70s, of course, Taxi Driver. He was in Godfather Part 2. So, Maniac is one of those films that my uncle, who I obtained a lot of my VHS tape collection from. Well, first he gave him to my dad, and then my dad gave him to me. But I remember going to my grandpa's house where all my uncle's films were, and my uncle said to my dad, just take whatever you want. He didn't, and my uncle always says, well, I had Maniac there, well, I don't know why you didn't get Maniac. So I could have had Maniac on VHS tape, but shit happened. So it is a movie, of course, that is very controversial, very graphic and stuff like that. I believe it was a video nasty. I think a lot of these movies are video nasties, to be honest with you, but it's pretty ridiculous that such a thing existed, where movies would be banned from being rented out and stuff like that. It's hilarious because, like, when you look at, say, the Disney Channel shows of this era compared to the movies that were fucking banned, it's total bullshit, because kids on TV nowadays act like fucking adults, and get in adult situations and have relationships and stuff. It's like, dude, you're 11. Like, relax. So, Maniac, I just love the poster art of this film, with like the dude's jeans, he's got the big knife. I love the flick. I really think, one of my things about Maniac, though, that I always say is I find it hilarious that, like, out of the blue, he's like, meets this chick, And then all of a sudden he's like, yeah, I'm an artist. Yeah, landscaping mostly, portraits, this and that. And it's like, dude, like he's just like a greasy dude, like that looks like he might smell based off of his apartment. But no, he just puts on his Sunday best and he fucking wows the ladies. So yeah, Joe Spinell in Maniac is great. This is not a horror film, but 36 Chambers of Shaolin, which I believe is one of the quintessential chop socky films of the 70s. A lot of these films are from the 70s, holy shit. But actually, you know what? I just totally lied because this is the first film of the 70s. But you know, it's a great story about a young man who wants to become something. He actually finds himself injured early on in the film, and he comes across this Buddhist temple, and he wants to learn martial arts. And of course, he's put through the 35 chambers, which are different, different training tactics, methods. Some might be using your eyes. And what I mean by that is like there'd be a scene where the person has to stand completely still, and they have to watch like something going like this, almost like a pendulum. So your eyes are following the pendulum, and if you move your face in either direction, there's a giant incense like waiting to burn your face, which is, I love that scene. That's when I think of the film, I think of that scene, and I think of like the scenes where they gotta like hit their head. So there's all these different chambers. Like I would recommend checking that flick out. It might be on YouTube, but I would love to own it on tape. I do own it on DVD, so, and I own the sequel as well. The sequel's pretty fucking cool too. But highly recommend 36 Chambers. Of course, the Wu-Tang Clan, named their debut title or their debut album Returned. That was Old Dirty Bastard. So 36 Chambers of Shaolin, or 36 Chambers of Wu-Tang rather. Sorry, I'm all over the place here. And it's a great movie, great poster, great dub. The voices sound good, lots of memorable lines of dialogue. So I'd definitely go with that. Number 4 is a movie that I only discovered in the last couple of years, and that's Combat Shock, which is a great underground, sort of really disgusting I believe early 1980s, where you're gonna get, just junkies running amok. It's almost kind of like a light version of Street Trash, you know what I mean? Like not a light version in sense of like the substance, but I mean like it's not as wild as Street Trash, where there's like all that kind of madness happening. I'm sure you guys know what I'm talking about. But I think Combat Shock is just a really good, solid flick. I've actually only watched it maybe twice. I want to say I think I've seen it twice. I got it, so it's actually right there. I bust it out. I don't want to fucking move it and then everything falls. Like I have this Michael Myers, doll, or not doll, but like action figure on the floor here beside me, because I had it up there. It fell last night. I'm sitting here, I was like minding my own, and all of a sudden this fucking thing just goes boom, hits the floor like 2:30 in the morning. I was like, holy shit, what the hell was that? And I look and there's Myers. But anyways, Combat Shock's great film. Next we got this is kind of a cheat right here, because I'm going to be talking about 2 films, but they're going to be included as one entry. So Lady Snowblood, okay, which is a film that I own, but the discs don't play in my Blu-ray player or my Xbox. So I don't know what I'm supposed to do, and I really want to watch those movies, and they're hard to find online with subtitles. So I would love to own the 2 Lady Snowblood films. I would also love to own this is 4 movie franchise, so this is really cheating, but all of the female prisoner Scorpion films, because those are magnificent, man. Some of the best revenge films since Death Wish 2. Love those flicks. Same actress. I don't think it's the same director, but I believe the actress's name is Miko Kaji, something like that. But she's great. So, and amazing cover arts on all those films. So to have the tapes would just be unreal. Moving on to, I believe this might be a German film. Could be wrong on that, but we're talking about Thriller, aka They Call Her One Eye, which is a fucking amazing revenge film. I've talked about it in the past. I actually have a poster of it over there on the wall. It's the story of this woman who's tricked into being a heroin addict and being a sex slave, prostitute, that is eventually given sort of a little bit of a leeway, a little bit of an allowance where she can go do stuff. So in her free time, she learns how to drive, learns how to shoot, learns how to fight, and then she uses her newfound knowledge to take revenge, and it's great. So, and I would love to have if I had to pick, since that movie has 2 titles, I would pick the Thriller, because I think Thriller, oh, you know what, they call her One Eye, is kind of a really good exploitation-y title, but I just think Thriller is really fucking cool. It's also known as A Cruel Picture, so 3 titles that movie's known by. Moving on to another movie that I actually own via Grindhouse releasing, that is I Drink Your Blood, which is a really badass film from the 1970s, I want to say like 72-ish, about this little cult, these little satanic worshippers that find themselves in this small town, and they start running amok, and there's this little boy that doesn't want any part of it, and he actually injects all these meat pies that are that are being bought by this cult to survive on. He injects them all with I don't think it's blood of a rabid dog or the spit of a rabid dog, and all these fucking cultists actually become rabid and run amok around the town. It's awesome. That's a really good one. Next we got Shogun Assassin. Yes, man, Shogun Assassin, which of course is a movie that was stitched together with the bones of a 5-movie franchise called Lone Wolf and Cub, which I've actually got on the watch pile, Criterion Edition. I remember when I got that, I made a video. I think I paid $40. It was regular $129. And this is at Cinema One we're talking about, which is rip-off fucking Alley. Love that shit. Shogun Assassin, if you don't know what it's about, it's basically about the story of this Ronin, so a masterless samurai whose wife is killed and he's left with his son, and he gives the son the decision, choose the ball and you join your mother in death, or choose the sword and you come with me and you're going to be on this road of blood and all this murder and stuff. So the little baby goes to the sword, and now the father's taking the baby on this rampage basically, or trying to escape the wrath of the shogun, and it's a really good movie. I'm looking forward to watching the Lone Wolf and Cub films, to be honest with you too. So would love to own Shogun Assassin. Next we got Strapped, which I believe is Forrest Whitaker's debut film, directorial debut. It's a story about a man who his wife, like this man is just trying to make good with his life. He had a former life where he was selling drugs and that kind of stuff, and his girlfriend, who's pregnant, is arrested for selling crack, and it's up to him to get her out. So he goes about ratting on people, and then eventually he gets caught for ratting out by one of his buddies, played by Fredro Starr, and Bokeem Woodbine is the main star of this film. Amazing actor. Michael Biehn is in it, of course. Hicks from Aliens, and the one guy that's the supplier, the gun supplier, is actually the dude that was in Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3, so that doctor guy. I actually really like that actor. I don't see him in much stuff, but really do enjoy him. Moving on, we got an Alfred Hitchcock film, Lifeboat. I think Lifeboat is one of the least talked about Alfred Hitchcock films out there, and it's one of the best. I think it's great, man. It's all about this American boat that is torpedoed down by a German U-boat. The German U-boat gets destroyed in the process, and it's all these different characters stuck on this U-boat, and they pull they pull this guy up onto the boat to save him, and it ends up being a German U-boat guy, and it's kind of about them dealing with him being on this lifeboat, and insanity ensues. And of course it's a Hitchcock film, so it's going to be good, and it's great. I have it on DVD, but again, I just love to own it on tape, to have like that comic book preservation collection type feeling. I think a lot of people know what I'm talking about when I say that. But moving on, this one's pretty easy to find. I've seen it in the wild once, didn't buy it because I think it was one of the early times I went to Shock Stock, so maybe like 2012-ish or something, and I'd already spent all my money that I brought with me, so I was like, fuck, I guess, I'm not getting the Warriors, but I want to own that on tape because it's one of my favorites. Great film about a gang from Coney Island that is tasked to go down to this meeting in the or up in the Bronx, and when they get there, shit goes haywire, and they get blamed for murdering a gang leader. And then the movie's all about these 9 gang members, the Warriors, trying to get from the Bronx back to Coney Island, and they go through a lot of bullshit to get there, and they prove that they are one of the toughest gangs in New York. And I love it because I just got this the other day, which I showed in the patch video, but the Warriors patch, fuck yeah, dude. Love that flick. Great soundtrack too, and the acting is spot on. My favorite warrior, for the record, is Ajax, of course. Next, we got another Chopsaki film, Secret of the Shaolin Poles. Now, the reason I mention this film is it holds a special place in my heart, because when I was a kid, like, I was probably fresh out of high school or still in high school. Me and my friend Tom, we would sit in my basement, smoke cigarettes, and just shoot the shit, smoke weed, drink some beers, all that kind of stuff. And when my stepdad had passed, he had left behind all these movies, and there's a lot of karate films, martial art films. And we popped in a few of them, so we were watching them like a couple a night for a little while. And it was really fucking cool. It was good times. I hold those times very, very close to my heart. So Tom, if, like, let's say you were watching this, Tom, like, I hold that shit deeply, you know what I mean? But we watched Secret of the Shaolin Poles, and it's just so quotable. And it's like, it's about, like, it's been a while since I watched it, but it's sort of, good guy versus bad guys, but there's all these poles in this field, and they would fight on top of these poles. And there's a scene in there that is so quotable. It's very offensive, but basically they steal the hero's girlfriend, and the lead bad guy says, take her on top of the Shaolin poles and rape her. And if anyone wants to watch, let them. Like, this is shit in an actual movie, so I don't know, man. It's a good one. It's a classic. It holds a good spot in my heart, so that's why I put it on this list. I own it I have like a DVD-R of it somewhere. I ripped it off YouTube, so you can watch it on YouTube. Next, I mentioned this film already, but Street Trash, which is a very colorful, very gory sort of, you might even get Trauma vibes from this film. It's very, very blue and green and yellow with their fluids, and I really like that. So I would recommend, and the poster's amazing, and the special effects are off the fucking charts, man. Like, there's a guy that like melts into a toilet, and I love how like this poisoning, if you want to call it that, is all caused from this alcohol called Viper. And I've seen people on Instagram that have actually like made mock-up bottles of Viper and put them on their shelves, and I think that's cool. I think it would be cool to have a little bottle of Viper sitting on the shelf here. Like, I don't know if you can notice, but there's tons of like little trinkets all along the top shelf. More to be added soon. I got some other shit I want to put up there, but I think it'd be cool to have some Viper. Next, we got Ichi the Killer and Dead or Alive, both Takashi Miike films, both much like the female prisoner Scorpion and this lady Snowblood. I would like to have both of them, but I'm counting them as one because same director, same kind of deal, you know what I mean? I don't want to have like two directors on the same list, like taking up a spot that someone else may or may not have been able to have. So Ichi the Killer, of course, is a great film. Very deceiving. When you watch the film, you might think it's about this blonde-haired guy with the Glasgow smile. It is not, although he's a big part of it. It's a great film if you're into that sort of thing. And Dead or Alive is just batshit crazy. I've yet to watch part 2 or 3, and I know part 2 has been quoted as being better than part 1, so that is yet to be seen by me. I can't wait to check that shit out. And I can only imagine how badass the clamshell versions of these movies would be, like the Japanese clamshells of Ichi the Killer and Dead or Alive. We're going to end the video with one final movie, and this is a movie I mentioned recently in one of my last videos. That movie is The Omen. Okay, I know that's a movie that like you could readily get, but if you just watch one of my recent videos, I talked about how I left it in a cottage up in Algonquin Park. So if I want my copy of Omen back, I gotta drive for like 6 fucking hours, which I'm not willing to do. So hopefully I can find a copy of Omen. Hopefully I can find all those movies at a thrift store for $1 a piece, all on the same day. I would love that. So if anyone has those flicks, donate them to one of my local thrift stores, and I will go pick them up, and you'll see them in a video soon. With that being said, check out the Teespring account. Type 666 in the comments if you watch this video all the way through. And with that being said, Adios. Hopefully you like my eagle hat too. It's pretty badass. Adios.